Motherfucker took the trade plate off. I didn't realize. I was like, oh, there's a trade plate. Cool, I can take it. I fucking get in the car, drive off, I fucking take the trade plate out before I left. I'm driving a car with no fucking disc, no nothing.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Try to mute everybody over there. Now we're coming back over here. Just got to make sure all my systems are running. Just got to make sure the mic is fine. Over there. Now we're coming back over here. Just got to make sure all my systems are running. Okay. Mic is fine. Everything's good. Beautiful. Got a new headset. Now I feel like a pilot, you know. Looking at GJ here, the first thing I'm looking at GJ here, this was the analysis we sent yesterday. You know, the analysis was all like, okay, like, you know what, the daily candle could come up and then continue down to fill this wick and continue down towards 134, 200, 300. It actually did come down, right? We did drop. There was a big drop coming down from 135. Now basically what's happening is it made a low. So what I'm thinking is that it's made a low over here, right? This is a low formed on the 1 hour time frame. We broke below this recent support, right? Now obviously if you look left, if you go to the left, we'll see some more areas where price can basically come up to, right? Like around here, 134, 100, you know, 134 even. So we're going to look at the most recent area right here, which is presented to us with the price. So the most recent area is going to be 134,620. Now, when this move happened, the first thing I want to look at Forex Factory, and I want to see that was there some breaking news over the, like, you know, if there was any breaking news during the London session. So let's take a look here. There was nothing really happening. I mean, we got German news here, but other than that, it was basically nothing that I can see. So if we do get a retracement, I think the best idea would be to wait for like a minor resistance to be formed and then possibly take a sell for price to continue down to retest this low right over here. Now if we drop down to the 30-minute time frame, oh, someone is saying no music sounds very peaceful. Oh, I think there's some music here. So if we move it on to 30-minute time frame, 30 minutes is just creating a support at 133,700, right? We're creating a support at 133,700. You had this candle closing bearish, which now means we're creating some sort of a resistance at this point, right? So if you drop down to the 15-minute, yeah, I think we need to see a close below a 133,700. And I think that's when we can have continuation of sells. Because now if you look at this, what's happening is this bearish candle closed over here, and then you had the bullish candle close like this, right? So when a bullish candle closed like this means there's support formed. The next candle wicked all the way down, but it closed back up. This candle also wicked all the way down, closed back up. So this is a strong support now in the 30-minute time frame. So we would need a close below 133,700. Ooh, that was on the lockdown situation. Virus UK lockdowns, HSBC bad news. Is my connection bad or is Raja lagging? I think it's the connection. Okay, it's basically the lockdown then. Yeah, I mean that was really expected. I think the pound is going to continue down to, euro is going to continue down to, like as we move towards phase 2, I think fundamentally we're going to start seeing these drops. Fundamentally it makes sense now too. Man, it's going to be a nut show. Last 2 weeks I'm seeing very big candles on GJ. Is it normal? Yes. Yes. It's just because there's a lot of volume, right? It just means there's a lot of volume in the markets. That's why you're seeing big candles. Oh, hope if a vaccine comes off, we are looking by next summer to be back to normal. Okay, I guess then Halloween is gone. Trick-or-treating is gone. New Year's is gone. Christmas, I don't know, man. This is some crazy stuff happening. So even if you do get the vaccine, I mean, everything's going to be back to normal by next summer, man. I'm thinking next fall, not even summer, next fall. Okay, so basically, since we're creating a resistance here, if price breaks and closes above, I'd say like 133, 870, 880, then I think that's going to be a good position to take a buy going up towards 134, even 134, 100, or even up to 134, 200. So I think that's something I can look for there as well. So let's see what happens in that situation. Let's take a look at your JPY here for a little bit. Now, your JPY on the daily, this is what I don't like first thing in the morning, Now, your JPY also we expected it to continue down, expected it to come down towards, 123 even, but it went actually further down. Now, normally, when you wake up in New York session, you come to the charts, you're like, oh man, we had big moves on the euro and the pound over London session. Now, I think I should start trading in the London session. It's not about that. It's good. Big moves happen. We made lows. So now this means there's going to be bigger retracements or continuations. So we just have to wait over here now. So looking at your JPY, daily candle continued down. Let's take a look on the 4-hour here. 4-hour basically broke below the support 123, and now it's coming back down. And as it's coming down, we're looking left, right? We're looking left to see if there's an area over here where it can bounce. So we have a support right at this point where price bounced up before. This was on the 21st of July, and now we're coming back down here again. So now there's a high probability we may bounce from here, or we may create like a minor resistance to continue moving bearish. So let's take a look on the 1 hour time frame now. 1 hour time frame is straight bearish, it's coming down. Looking at the 30 minute is straight bearish. 15 minute, yeah, I guess we gotta wait for the 30 minute to show some market structure here, and then we'll see what we can do. What's your favorite setup to trade that you are willing to risk on? It has to be GBP JPY. GBP JPY. When I bought this new headset, it's pretty heavy, but it's sick. Like the mic is, oh man, crazy situations with the mic here. I was on the charts prior to the drop, but I couldn't find an entry. This was my idea, but price never retraced, so I never executed. Where could I have taken an entry? All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look and learn something from this chart. All right, so you expected price to continue here, break below and come down, so you couldn't basically take an entry. So let's take a look here now. Maybe an entry, well, the only entry I could see was probably an impulse entry, and that was also pretty risky, very risky. Maybe right over here, as price broke the low over here to continue down to fill the wick, to continue down to fill this gap at 134.900. I think that could have been the only time where you could have had like an impulse entry. So this happened right at London Open. Wow, crazy. Right at London Open. Also, it showed some signs that price should continue moving up from here. Interesting. Yeah, but the 15-minute candle did not give like a bullish confirmation for price to go up. An entry was when the 15-minute candle broke the consolidation range. Yeah, I'd say so too. Probably impulse entry when it broke the low here. But let's focus on this right here, because right now we're in the situation. What are your thoughts on UJ? My thoughts on UJ. I think we're missing an announcement here. So let me bring that announcement up here. It says, don't say look at this or look at that, post a labeled chart mate. So here's the thing, you need to post a chart. Whenever you come through its stream here, and if you talk about, hey, let's take a look at UJ or Euro AUD or some sort of those stuff, I mean, the best thing to do is to post a chart so we can see what your analysis is. Uncle Ted is muted. Uncle Ted is not even here. Did you trade in the Asian session or catch the move? No. All right. So we're getting the candle close above. Basically, I would want a 30-minute candle closing above this area, right over here. Would want a 30-minute candle closing here, right? So the only reason I'm looking for a buy if price breaks above 133, let's say 860, 870, is because this is a resistance formed. Because we have a bearish candle forming, so this is a resistance formed. And if we close above, I think there's a very high probability for price to retrace up till here. And if this is 22 pips, and if I can get like 15 pips out of it, I think it's going to be pretty good. Okay, what's this? Euro JPY. Candle closing under support without the wick at the top. Okay. Having no wicks at the top means no volume to go up. Oh, beautiful. Very nice. What's your thoughts on having a conservative account and another risky account where you risk maybe 6% per trade? I think you should only have one account. This formula of having one super high risk account and one conservative account, it doesn't work. Trust me. I've tried it. I've seen people try it. Actually, I've seen people try everything in the book. I've seen people try everything you can think of. Hedging. I was talking to somebody and they were talking about how about like if the trend is down and they take a sell, and then during the sell they keep taking buys and retracements. It's type of like hedging, you know, and it also doesn't work. Trust me, the more you try to solve the market, the more you try to be like a smart ass with the market, the harder the market is going to come at you. So you have to be very careful. Oh, Ted had his hand up, and you can possibly. Okay, perfect.
I am here. I think if people are looking for GJ, the sell for GJ, this would have had to been planned last week. I think a lot of people, we talked about this last week, and it's the idea, if you go back into the weekly level, Raja, this is where people, they fail to plan. Originally, our idea last week was with the weekly candle to continue pushing down, probably to 134. And we did get that with the previous week's candle, and then it pulled back up. But once again, if you remember how candle structure works and price structure works, the weekly candle was bearish. But for the most part, if you look at GJ, all candles usually wick to the upside and then continue going down. So what we had was a continuation of last week's move in today's weekly candle. Now, the fact remains it is a Monday, so it is very difficult to catch. But if you looked, the first order of business for you would have been this weekly wick fill, right? Because we know that we talked about this a lot last week, that this upper wick here creates your liquidity, and then you get a candle that forms somewhat like this. So you would have seen that forming on the weekly, and now your stop would have been above this level here, and you would have continued to ride it down. Now you would say, well, where would we have finished this? We also talked about the fact that we were in this liquidity area right over here. So as you draw your zone, and as we puncture through that zone, more than likely we're going to get a drop to go right through to that level. And we had marked out 133,700, 133,800 as a potential opportunity. But your first order of business would have been this wick fill right here. You would have filled this weekly wick fill. The fact that it happened in one day is very crazy, but the idea would have been you had the liquidity from this area. So when people are saying I can't find a trade on the 15 or 30-minute charts or the hour charts, you have to be able to tell the full story of the higher time frame, because the weekly candle was forming on Monday, and this was essentially your first daily candle as well. So if that was something that you had planned out from last week, it would have been a nice easy trade. I missed it totally because I was sleeping, but that's sort of the idea, that if you were really looking for the GJ sell and a continuation, you can see now the monthly candle has mirrored last month's candle at that point. If you go into GJ monthly, you'll see now we've mirrored all the way down, and that's the reason why we put this level here, right? Because remember, we said that this candle would get filled, and we see that we filled that whole area now. And that was the idea, and that was the story that we were trying to tell with the break of those candles. So keep that in mind next time when you're looking for trades, that you might not be able to get ideas on the 15-minute or 30-minute time frame, but putting together the higher time frames along with the story of, you know, how is my weekly candle forming, how is my daily candle forming, that's going to assist you with coming up with the right confluence. And you might not necessarily have a 15-minute candle that looks perfectly like this, but if you're maintaining bearish structure on the higher time frames, you might just be able to place an order, a pending order, and have it then pushed right through at that point.
You cut off, Ted. Ted.
Oh, I think the Bluetooth died or something.
No, I'm back.
Oh.
It just kicked me out and back in. Yeah, but the idea was, sorry, it's that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily find this type of candle on the smaller time frame, but the fact that we have higher time frames driving down, that'll allow you to get an entry at that point. So it's adapting to the market conditions, but also being able to tell a story on your higher time frames at that point. And now I can't delete anything. That's really weird.
Bum, bum, bum. I mean, that move was it was expected, but it was like very unpredictable at that time because of London Open. If you could go up a little bit more on rakeel at 3, yeah, this is the opening right here, this candle 3 a.m. pushed up, grab some liquidity, I guess, to make a top wick on the 4-hour, and then it started to come down. And from this point to this point, it actually skipped. I think it was like 20 something pips. That's when you knew it broke this current support, and that was it. That was like the only entry you could actually get with a high, I mean, very long stop loss.
Yeah, perfect. All right, let's take a look at this chart over here. This is UJ 4-hour strong bearish candle break retest. Oh, so looking for sells over here. I think maybe looking at like a 1-hour chart or 30-minute chart on this idea would make much more sense based on market structure here, because if you're looking for some sort of retracement, maybe this entry is not a good entry because your line here is actually heading up first and then heading down. So you'll have to look at that information. No FOMO, first week in profit since I've been listening. Oh, wow, nice, very nice. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at this chart. Never took this trade because since I took my plan 2 weeks ago, I've made 0.8% daily. That's actually pretty good, man. 0.8% daily. Every time I see this highlighted candle at a resistance, price drops at least 10 pips. Closing bullish candle, woke up, prices at my horizontal line. Yeah, I missed this move too, coming down. So now we're just focusing on what's happening currently and how can we capitalize on a possible continuation down or probably like a retracement coming up.
And forget about that move already.
Yeah. Today and tomorrow are bank holidays in Japan. How does that affect GJ? Does it allow more trends? It doesn't really affect anything. Like if you have a bank holiday in Japan during New York session, look at it this way, right? The banks are closed anyway during a New York session, so it doesn't really affect anything.
All right, listen, I got you, y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I got
Yeah,
you, little
yo.
baby.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm not sure if it's been already explained. If you have, I'll watch a recap. Can you explain how you would have caught the move down and where your entry would have been? First of all, I wouldn't have caught the move down because it happened in the London session, and I say that because every move is completely different than every other move. So I couldn't have caught this move. Even if I did, I think it would have been maybe the break of the low over here. Yeah, that's it. It just kept falling.
Yeah, to be honest, it's very difficult to catch this move. If you were in the London session, you probably would have seen a bit of it, maybe the next hour. Maybe you would have caught the second hour of the move into, what's happening right now. But I mean, really, to be honest, these are those opportunities where it moves so rapidly that you would have had to have planned it out. You would have need to plan this out before the London session. You would have had to plan it out during the Asian session, and essentially pending orders would probably have been your only bet. To take positions on GJ on the hourly, you didn't really get any sort of notification. Even on the 15-minute, you weren't really getting anything. To be honest, it would have been very difficult for you to have taken this trade. The only thing that you possibly could have done is gone onto the 15-minute and taken candles, but also too, the candle structure wasn't as strong, or we didn't get the rejections that we were looking for as of now on the 15-minute. So as an example, you could have taken trades anywhere in this area here to continue that drop, but I'm looking more at candles that look this way, right? That have an upper rejection and then a drop. So this would have been a safer candle than, say, one of these candles, because we don't know at the time if this candle is going to reject back up, because we're right at a key level here. You can see that Raja's highlighted that, or if we're going to continue back down. So it's something to keep in mind. If you did miss this move, it's a Monday. There's going to be a lot more on the way, so I don't think we have to worry too much about that.
Let's take a look at gold over here. Took a look at gold. Take a look at pre-markets. Pre-markets are, oh wow, man, negative. Pre-markets are bleeding today. They are bleeding. Is US30 also dropping with that?
Yes.
Man. Oh wow.
Yeah, man. Bloodbath.
Wow, pre-markets are bleeding. Look at this, negative 500, negative 479.
So 930 is going to be very, very fun. So if you trade US 30, you may want to look at in 3 hours, taking a look at US 30. It's going to be a bloodbath today.
Damn, this is crazy. It's going to pull up, and then boom, down 930.
Yeah.
Hey, I would like to know why you think US30 is hard to trade. Because I was unable to trade it because the trading time I have with US30 is when there's not a lot of movement. So it's very individualistic. Maybe if you try US30, it should be easy for you to trade. But for me, it was pretty hard, so I left it alone. All right, let's take a look at this chart here. This is a bad trade because we're in a range. We have a range right over here. This is a support here, and this is not a good example of a good trade. It's a bad trade. You're trading within the range. You're not allowing for price to break out the range. You're not being patient. And when you are not being patient, you shall pay the price of not being patient with a loss. So you have to wait. Like seriously, I mean, trading in this range, it makes no sense at all. It just makes absolutely no sense at all. You have a support over here, wait for support to break, or wait for resistance to break for price move up or to price move down. I mean, trading in the range here, I mean, it's just, I just don't even know what you're trying to accomplish trading in the range here. So you have to wait, man. In trading, here's the thing. You will get paid to wait. Trust me, you will always get paid to wait. But if you take an impulse entry, or if you take entries without confirmations, or like, if you take an entry because you don't want to wait, or you have to go to the washroom, so you just take an entry, those things are not going to work. Very rarely it's going to work in your favor. Is your bias for long or short as well, since it's in the range? It's basically, I have no bias right now. Price is ranging. Price is ranging. It's already fallen this much. Nothing fundamentally has changed. I think this fall was only from like different announcements. So I'll basically have to wait. I mean, if we break below the support, my bias is sells. I'm going to look for sells. But if we break above this resistance, then my bias is buys, and I'm going to look for buys. So just waiting at this point. Let's take a look at this chart here. Price is ranging. Buys would be placed above here, sells below here. Okay, looks good. Buys and sells mapped out. Hey Raja, Uncle Ted said it's going to be a bloodbath in US 30. Why is that? Because we're expecting US 30 to continue on pushing bearish by 9:30. But I'm not going to be here, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out.
Yeah, so once again, US 30 is an indice, and the equity markets both work off of the indices. So what you're going to find with US 30 is the indice will react to how the equity market opens. So US 30 and the New York Stock Exchange are two different ideas. So US 30 is an indice, and NYSE is a stock exchange. The indice rallies or gets information from how the equity market moves. So they play off of each other. So right now, the US 30 as an indice is very weak. So there's a lot of tension to say that the market is going to open and it's going to drop. Now, a lot of times when 9:30 rolls around, the market pulls all the way back, because what you have to understand is the institutions and investors are reacting to the information that is provided on the indice or the fear that has been created. So as that information goes into the New York Stock Exchange open, the market could rip the opposite way at the beginning of the open, because people are getting into a position, and as they enter the position, that drives the market the opposite way. So what you may have to wait for is you may have to wait a half hour or so to allow the market to set up, because more than likely then, if there's continued fear, now the equity market will take over where the indice has predicted the market will go in that respect. And then as the market continues to drop, the fear associated with that drop or the tension with that drop adds to the fear in the indices. So both the equity market and indice play off of each other. Now, people always say, US 30 isn't the stock exchange, but US 30 provides a gauge to where we believe the stock market is going to be moving. And when it starts moving that way, it gets pumped again by the actual movement of the equity market and creates even more instability in that indice. So that's why a lot of times you'll see the US 30 and the New York Stock Exchange correlated, because of the fact that they play off of each other. So think of it as momentum. Once US 30 has instilled fear, or because US 30 is the futures market, once it's instilled that fear, now when the equity market actually plays out that sentiment, now US 30 continues to get that fear momentum, and they keep bouncing off each other. That's why you'll see today potentially there could be maybe a 600-point drop or a 700-point drop in the New York Stock Exchange, because of the fear that's been instilled based on the indice at that point. So really keep that in mind, that just because the US 30 is dropping right now doesn't mean right at 9:30 the market opens and then the stock market drops. There has to be a bit of information disseminated based on the futures market, and it has to correlate then with the actual New York Stock Exchange at that point.
Ooh, your JPY is continuing falling over here. So continue moving down. GJ is also approaching that support. I kind of want to sell if once we have a break below this area. Otherwise, I don't want to take an entry here, because as price comes down, it sees these wicks over here, it may just like, you know, come down and just retrace up. So getting a break and close below at this point, I think it's going to be a pretty good idea.
If anybody's watching gold, I'm watching that right now. You can see we're tapping 1930, which seems to be a heavy support. But if you are looking to trade gold off of the half-hour candle or the hourly candle, there's potential where you could move your stop to 1934 and then allow this hourly candle to continue to drive to 1928. I don't really advise it. You know, we might get an impulse move all the way down to, you know, 1910, or sorry, not that deep. Give me a second here. I had it set on my chart. You might get to like 1917, 1920 today with gold. But I'm going to be waiting until the North American currency market open. I'm going to be waiting at 8 a.m. I want to see how that moves. If I don't get a clean direction at that point, I'll be waiting until 9:30. I think this daily candle will continue. We're coming into the daily zone at 1928, and that zone is all the way down to 1919. So you might find that this whole area gets filled. So your target will probably be this area over here. But once again, it'll be probably very difficult to get in an entry. So you'll be watching your 15-minute and 30-minute time frames. But if this trend continues and we have this candle, the strength of the momentum, it should fill right into this level over here. My only concern is we have a lot of different wicks. So where we're filling is going to be, you know, the guess at that point. If you're looking at taking an entry with gold and you're saying, well, where is your target? What you can do is, if you want to be very aggressive, is do this. Take away all this information here. So now you take away this information, take away those wicks, and now what do you have at this point is you have a clean candle right over here and right over here. So what you can say now is that this candle that we are currently in will mirror the level all the way down, which would match up with this level right over here. So that's the way, that's how you would be able to decipher that, is move the rest of the noise away from the charts and look to see that we're going to fill that entire move from the left, but getting rid of all those wicks, if that's what you want to do. If you are concerned about all the wicks that you see to the left, then gold isn't a trade for you right now, because of the fact that we could reject at any one of those levels. But if you look at something similar to this idea that I've put on the screen, then you know that we could potentially go all the way down to 1917, which is the full body of that previous candle over to the left. And that's the one that you'd be working off of at that point, because you can see there's clean moves and volume pushed all the way right through that bullish candle up. Now we're going to complete on the bearish move down. So it's something to keep in mind if you are trading gold.
Can you please answer this question? Let's take a look here. This is, if this range would have been bigger, was it a good setup to enter sell when this kind of closed bearish to retest the low and continue bearish momentum? If it was bigger, probably it made sense, but it's not bigger, so we're just focused on what's happening over here. The thing is, when I'm looking at charts, I'm not looking at if this was this, if this was that. I'm just concerned about what I can execute with what's being presented. I used to look at those things like, you know, okay, if this was here, I would have done this, I would have done that. But then when you start thinking like that, I think you lose focus on the situation at hand. But yeah, you know, something we talked about, price came down, saw these wicks and rejected. So, you know, there's a bit of patience needed here today. Let's take a look at this chart here. This is rejection on bearish candle. Took another entry once 30-minute broke the low. Okay, it's pretty good. Looks like it worked out over here. Ashton Dalziel. Okay, Ted, don't you think the RSI and the rejection on the wicks on a 30-minute time frame on gold can jump back up? I think you need to send a chart of your analysis with RSI, and then we can take a look at that. Because obviously we don't have RSI over here, and it's so you need to send a chart. But even though if you think price is going to move up on gold, I think you would need some sort of a break above, you know, 1932 for price to move up, because it's creating this minor resistance to potentially continue down. Okay. Ooh, first chart sent from the gulag and wrong chart, man. Maybe if you put the same thought in the chart, the thought we put in the name, tallest in the strip club 954, you could have probably sent the right chart.
Damn, the tallest one.
Yeah, it's a Monday, guys. I mean, it's a Monday. If you've been over trading on a Monday, just stop trading. You know, if you've taken more than 3 trades or 2 trades on a Monday, just stop trading. You know, because it's a Monday, you should take like 1 trade, very, very risk-free, no stress, nothing at all. Because, you know, it's a Monday, then we got Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. Let's take a look over here, right? Let's take a look here. So we got Monday, we got mainly like no news here. We got yen holiday, doesn't really matter. Tuesday we got some volatility, we got some pound volume there, but no major news. Wednesday we have major news for the euro, super major news on the euro. USD, nothing really happening. I think we're gonna have big moves on the pound as well, because we got the euro plus pound news coming up. Thursday New York session also looks pretty clean, there's no news. Friday also looks pretty clean, there's no news. So we're moving back to daylight in New Zealand. Okay. Are you looking for a 30-minute close out of this range or the 15-minute? The 30-minute. I'm looking for the 30-minute to break above this here or break below this area right here. All right, let's take a look here. Price extremely bearish, low created. This is Euro USD. Waiting for price to create new resistance to take a short position to fill the weekly wick. I think on Euro USD, what you may want to also do is you may want to. Okay, let's take a look here first. We're getting a candle closing above 15-minute. 15 minutes closing in 3 minutes. 30-minute is also closing. It's going to close in 18 minutes, so you may want to wait for the 30-minute candle to close. Not going to enter if this candle doesn't close, right? Let's take a look at Euro USD. 30-minute is creating a support. I think if you're looking for sells, you're waiting for price to come up to create like a minor resistance to take sells. We have this minor resistance here, so yeah, we'll have to wait on your USD for that. Got a fundamental question. So since there are rumors about the second C word wave, will we see a strength on the safe havens like the USD and yen on the long run? USD is not a safe haven. Yen and gold are safe havens for the USD. So, to answer your question, I mean, technically we should see strength in the yen and gold, but anything can happen. Anything is possible. So we have no idea. We can only speculate on high time frames, but when it comes towards actual trading those situations, it's very speculative.
So what I want people to look at right now is I want people to look at this idea that I'm put up on the screen, and this is where a lot of people get trapped. We see that we have these candles starting to push up, and right away a lot of people are saying that we should be taking buys. The rationale behind that is interesting. It does make sense in the smaller time frames to try and take buys because you're looking at this area of liquidity. So this is what I call a smoking gun, and what that means is that gives you information for later on. If you've been on the stream for the last 2 years, I talk about if you watch a movie, in any type of movie, in the beginning of the movie or beginning of a book, there's something in literature or English studies or language studies that talk about the smoking gun effect, that there's always going to be something in the beginning part of a movie or beginning part of a book that you read or you see that ties the end of the movie or the end of the book together, and you don't necessarily realize that that was important or a pivotal point until the end of the movie. So when we look at this zone that I've mapped out, that's what I call my smoking gun, because essentially what's happened is price at this point has created what we consider a new zone. This area over here is a new zone. So at any given point, price can tap into that new zone and go bullish. But to take a buy, I would want to see this zone break, and you would have to take buys above that level, because all that's happening in this area here is price is coming up to tap to start to potentially move further down. So when you notice this happening, you can now sit and anticipate that, hey, I can start taking positions potentially below this area here once I see a candle wick up and then start to drive down at that point, knowing that we're leaving this zone over here to start to move further down. So keep that in mind when people are screaming buys because they see rejection over here. We still have a lot of bearish momentum, so to correct this whole move is going to be a lot of work. And also at the same time, I would only want to start taking buys above what I consider this whole area here of liquidity, because at any given time, these candles can flip and we can continue with trend. So it's something to keep in mind as you're trading, that you can map out smaller zones on the smaller time frames, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going into a sell, but like Raja says, we're testing that resistance level to then potentially drop a little bit further later on in the market at that point, a little bit later on today.
How come you're waiting for a 30-minute candle to close instead of 15-minute candle? Because the 30-minute candle is a much stronger confirmation than the 15-minute candle. That's why. Also, it's a Monday, and if it's a Monday, you want to execute on strong confirmations, right? Because the last thing you want to do is execute on Monday on a weak confirmation and lose the trade. So think about this. If you had one trade to take, if you just had one trade to take on the Monday, where would you risk that trade? Would you take a buy as price went up? I know a lot of people took buys over here And now price retraces and they're like, oh man, should have done that. So like, it's always important to wait for the candle to close. Man, waiting is, I've done this test, right? I've done this test where now I've never talked about mentorship, but I'm just going to talk about it because I've done this test. That people can sign up and they won't get access to the database. Now that is written in 3 places: when they pay for the sign up, in the announcements section, and when they get the welcome email. In these 3 places, it says that you won't get access to the database until the 8th of November. I've actually changed that to 1st of November. And still, people ask questions. Hey, when will the accesses be given? When will this happen? When are we going to be able to access the whole thing? And I'm like, listen, it's written at 3 places. And then it's like, why is it so long? Why will it take that long time? Because it's a test of discipline. Like, can you actually wait till that time? I wasn't even going to give access to anything till the 8th of November, but then I decided, hey, what, maybe this is going to be a good test to see what's going to happen. And what I found is, man, overwhelmingly, a lot of people they just don't do proper analysis. They don't read proper stuff. It's interesting how everyone goes through lives. You said you wait for the candle to close, but sometimes you end up waiting. You miss the move when the candle breaks the highs or the lows. Yes. That does happen as well. As I'm waiting for this candle to close, this 30-minute candle is going to close in like 11 minutes. Let's take a look on the 15-minute. 15-minute closed bullish, but it also closed at this level here. So I would want to wait for the 30-minute candle to close. Now, here's the thing. As I'm waiting for the 30-minute candle to close, I may miss the move. Price may move up over here, and then I've basically missed the move. And I've missed a move like that, waiting for my confirmation, then that's totally fine. For me, that's totally fine. Because I know that, okay, down the road, the same situation is going to happen. And more often than not, I'm not going to miss the move. Sometimes you miss the moves, but most times you don't miss the moves. And those are the times where you make most of your money. Let's take a look at this chart over here. This is GU, saw the price rejecting this resistance, creating minor resistance, but didn't have the guts to enter the trade and lost all these big moves. I'd appreciate any advice. Yeah, I mean, if you missed these moves, you got to look to see how you could have entered the trade. Whenever you're missing a move, who sent this chart? Yeah, whenever you're missing the move, you're always looking to see how you could have entered this trade. Maybe below right over here, you could have done something, or the worst thing you can do is when you lose a trade and when you miss a move, you become helpless. I see this happen to a lot of people. When they miss move, they're like, oh man, look at this chart. I missed it, and now I'm just helpless. I don't know what to do. So it's always a good idea to look at the chart and kind of see how you could have entered that trade.
Yeah, I think also too, there's a lot of panic when people miss a move because they feel as though they've worked so hard at trading and they've waited for that one idea and then they've missed that idea. So now they feel like dejected, that, they feel defeated because, you took losses earlier last week. You saw this move play out and it's happened and you didn't get any part of it. So deep down inside, you feel as though you failed as a trader because of the fact that you lost trades last week. You got some nice wins, but this was the big mother lode that you were waiting for and you missed it. And the problem with that thought process is you are weighing so much on the wins and the losses. You're putting so much weight on that when you see a big move and you didn't catch that big win, you feel as though that you failed as a trader because you've done the analysis, you've looked at that, and you say to yourself, well, I didn't catch that move. Now I'm stuck because what am I going to do the rest of the week? What am I going to do for the rest of the month because I missed that move? You have to get out of that mindset. FX is 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. If you open just say 10 pairs right now, you took your chart and opened up 10 pairs, I guarantee you, you could go back over the last 3 weeks and you would see big giant moves that you could have made money on, reversals, pushes that, you know, you could have grabbed 30, 40, 50 pips. It happens every week. It happens every month. You have to get out of the mentality that this was the last trade that you'll ever take as an FX trader. The more you can look to the future and the fact that you're doing something every single day, the more likely you're going to catch those trades, because there's numerous trades that we've caught on the live stream that have run 30, 40, 50 pips. And there's numerous trades that we've missed. So don't panic that you've missed a trade. You haven't done anything wrong. You haven't defeated yourself in terms of your analysis. Understand that and be positive that the move happened and it was 100 pips, 120 pips. So you know that if that move can happen once, it can happen again. And you really have to get used to that. And as you trade longer and as you take more time in trading over 2, 3, 4 years, you'll see that this happens often and that you don't have to panic that you missed a move on a Monday when we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to still make money in the markets. So really put perspective on yourself and on your trading. And it's not a failure when you miss a trade. It's a failure when you allow your emotions to dictate that you are not, you know, trading the best that you think you are, when in actual fact, you haven't done anything wrong. You know, if the move didn't happen last night, you still would have missed moves anyways. It's just, it's blatantly in your face. So you feel as though that you feel guilty that you worked so hard and you weren't able to get any of it. But if you know and you have experience, you'll catch something later on this week, you'll catch something on later this month, and that automatically goes away. Because did anybody catch gold from 2000 all the way to 1980? Probably. But you know what? We're past that. Gold is at 1930 right now. So what do we care about 1980 at this point? You don't have to worry about that. So get used to that mindset of just moving on and accepting the fact that, hey, I missed the move, but there's going to be something else for me to grab later this week or later this month.
Yeah, I think with the way these candles are closing now, with the way the 1 hour candle broke the high of the previous 1 hour candle, and the 30 minutes also about to close above this area, I think we're gonna fill this wick over here and continue moving bullish. It will. I was in Gulag till now, I would have fired many bullets, but here they are no but kill and loss, even though my first name Zoom. Oh, nice, man. It's very nice. Even though when you can just, like, you know, relax and watch price move and watch price move where you expected it to move, I think that's also a win. Raja's in a buy. I saw his eyes light up. Yeah. Hey, I'm thinking that if we wait the 30-minute closing, then with the actual 15-minute, we potentially form a retest bearish candle, then the 30-minute closing. Yeah, so I guess that's what I'm expecting it too. You know, as this candle is coming to a close, we want this candle to close bullish. If this closes bullish, I think there's a very high probability for price to continue moving up, like for the next 30-minute candles to continue moving up. So if this closes bullish right over here, because then it's closing above this resistance, which we talked about earlier on, and then you can expect the next one to slowly rise up to its full potential.
Just be careful with the 134 flat. We may have some sort of rejection from there.
Yeah, and whoever was talking about if I'm really in buys where I took my entries, I'm in no trades. I'm waiting for this 30-minute candle to close. Trust me, man. You guys should know me by now. I'm waiting for the candles.
Yeah, man.
Like, thing is, it looks good to take a buy, but the only problem is there are these wicks over here where candles have came up. So Kervin's right, you know, they've came up to 134, rejected. This came up, rejected. So we don't know whether this is going to reject or not. So
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, you have some sort of resistance somewhere here. You know, on the 15-minute, Raj, can you go to the 15-minute? Yeah, all candles are forming and closing below 133.993. So basically, if you have you know, some sort of pushes outside from here, but candles, the body of the candles like this is still closing below this area, most likely we're gonna retest this low and continue going. If that's gonna happen right now, I have no idea. I'm looking for the New York Open because for me, at this point, all this area, we are forming some sort of consolidation. This is gonna be our range pre-New York. So basically, anything breaking out from this area will be sells toward 133,500 and even deeper than that, because all the information from here is, to me, is like a breather. It's taking some sort of you know, a pause on the market, and when New York open, it's all the information is gonna be digested by New York opening. So we may have another deep down on GG. Just be careful with that.
Yeah, let's see what happens. We got like around a minute and a half left.
Yeah. At
Is
this
it
point, I'm sorry, at this point, like Ted said, I'm not looking for buys so far unless I have extra confirmation, because it's really hard for me to fight against a 4-hour candle like the one that closed around 5 a.m. So I don't want to fight that 4-hour candle. Go ahead, Raj. I'm sorry.
Man, these headphones are really amazing. They just like cocoon my entire ear, and I can hear everything so clearly. It's like those noise cancellation ones.
You know what? You sound better as well.
Yeah. These are the ones right here. They were like for about 180. So I asked the guy, hey, you have any like student discounts? And the guy looks at me and he laughs. And he's like, well, I don't have any student discounts, but you know what? I can give you my employee discount. I'm like, okay, perfect, man. Hook me up.
Wow, man.
Yeah, he gave me employee discount.
Damn. That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I built some rapport with him, right? So looking at headphones, and he was asking why am I getting them, and then he said that he's a gamer, and then we started talking about games, and started talking about my Bose soundbar I bought, and he's like, "Oh man, that's sick," and yeah, we became kind of friends in 5 minutes, and then he gave me a discount.
Now imagine that guy is listening to this stream right now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's part of the gulag.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. But if I can get a deal, man, I get a deal.
I know.
It's just a high about getting a deal. Oh man, I got a deal. So, okay, so this 15-minute candle is closing bullish. 30-minute candle closed above this area. You know, I kind of want to take a small position at this area right here, but at the same time, the 15-minute candle closed like a weak bullish candle, so I'm not sure whether... So here's my whole idea, right? That if the 30-minute candle is going to continue moving up, we want this 15-minute to respect the low of the previous 15-minute candle. And then continue moving bullish. And that's going to overall push the 30-minute candle bullish.
Yes, I agree with you.
I got my hand on open trade, my finger on open trade, and I don't know if I should do that or not because it's just coming down.
Yeah.
I want this candle to close above this area, and if the next candle break above, then I'll take those impulse entry at the break at the top of the candle, because then we're respecting this area.
Yeah. So it's very tricky here because there's this minor resistance here as well. Oh, someone just spammed the top-down analysis here. So we can't take a look at all these 4 charts you sent. So I'm only going to look at one chart. Oh, okay, yeah, we're just going to look at one chart over here. This is the 4-hour. Oh, what's this? This is from the past, man. What's this? Added this zone as additional target. I don't think I don't know what's going on over here. This just confused me to the max. I mean, why is this 4-hour bullish and we don't have bullish 4 hours over here?
That was like last month, I think.
Yeah, that was last month. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that chart privately. Ooh, your JPY is also coming up to this area of problem over here. Gold still hasn't made up its mind whether it wants to break down or break up. See these wicks over here? This is where people get caught, you know, because like sometimes I wish I would have never introduced impulse entries, but this is where people get stuck now. As price comes down, it breaks the low, they're like, oh, it's a great idea to take an impulse entry, not knowing that price wicked over here. And, you know, as price comes down, they enter a sell, price goes down, they become happy, and then price goes up, goes in drawdown, and then they become sad. So nothing yet. I was like this close in hitting open trade for buy, this close. But then this thing started coming down really fast, you know. So then I was like, no, I just gotta wait.
But why would he take buys on that candle right there and you
right
you
here?
didn't even wait for confirmation? Yeah, coming down. Like, I don't see any confirmation even on the lower time frame that support has been formed, unless, you know, this candle became bullish and start going up, like retracing.
Yeah, well, here was my idea, right? So since this 30-minute candle closed bullish, right? Closed bullish, closed above this minor resistance on the 30-minute. So this gives room for the next 30-minute candle to potentially make a wick down and move up, right? So for that to happen, I was looking at the 15-minute. Now I was like, okay, like, you know what? If this 15-minute candle closed bullish, one problem was that it closed at a resistance. And secondly, if this candle would have to go up, I would want it to respect the low over here to push the overall 30-minute candle bullish.
Correct. I understand what you're saying, but why would you take the entries that early though? Why do you I would wait till the candle came down and then restart going bullish. Then I would take those entries, showing
No.
it's respecting that bottom level.
Yeah, that's why I didn't take any entries, because it started to come down really fast. And also it closed at this resistance over here.
Yeah, flip bullish, yeah.
What do you think about the 15-minute candle closing back in the range? We have a higher opportunity for price to continue down to support. No, we don't, because 15-minute is a weak confirmation time frame. So we don't have a higher, what's this? Higher opportunity.
The easiest way to take this risky trade on buy on GBP JPY based on the 15-minute, or the 30-minute, it's when these candles start flipping bullish from this point. You know, then it's gonna be a nice push, probably up to here. But other than that, anything below this area is not worth it. We have this area to the left. We got this rejection. This zone right here, we can get it filled once this candle start forming this way. Yeah. But not at this point.
Agreed.
And we are approaching toward New York session, so just be careful. I mean, I still believe more sales are coming for GBP JPY New York session.
Like as long as this 15-minute closes above this area, it should be good to continue up.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I don't want GBP JPY going to retest 134 200 because I'm gonna get stopped out from my position.
Oh.
I have some runners coming from 135 200 and 135 180.
Keys.
So yeah, each runner is like 123 pips in profits already.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Tomahawk's coming in from Kerwin
Yeah,
today.
man. I mean, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, about the
GG,
tomahawks.
you know.
Oh.
We talk about GG going. Hopefully this week or this monthly candle can hit 132.
See, here's the thing. This weekly
God.
candle moved like around 140 pips in the first like few hours since it started. And that to me is pretty confusing from the fact that, okay, if we did move down that fast, maybe there would be some sort of retracement, but we're not getting that confirmation yet for a retracement. So there's a bit of waiting here now. You know, maybe if this 15-minute candle closes above this area, the next one is going to push price all the way up towards 134, 100. Or if we get this closed down, then I'd be waiting for price to break below 133, 700 to continue down. I'm in EN longs right now. What do you think? All right, let's take a look here. Entry above the previous 30-minute candle. I think that's a very risky endeavor you're about to go on because, you know, we had support forming over here, price went up, came up, now it's at a high. So maybe you'd want price to create some sort of a support and then take a buy instead of taking a buy at the top, because this is like you're taking a buy at the top. And when you look left, you will see that you have some sort of problems here. If we look left over here, we have now prices are approaching where it was consolidating before. So you may want to wait for some sort of a support forming and then take a buy to go up. But in other case, you know, price can just continue to move up as well. So there are two sides to that coin too. Oh, look at that. Look at that 15-minute, man. This is closing above that area.
It's rejecting.
It's rejecting that area.
It's rejecting.
It's pretty good. I mean, I think as it crosses into 133, 930, 950, or even if this 15-minute closes above, I think next one is going to be our buying candle. And also then we're going to move into New York Open as well. So maybe that can continue to push price up. Let's see. Okay, GJ, 30-minute. Price retesting, waiting for 30-minute resistance to sell. Price is broken out of the range to the left. Please see second chart. Okay, we also looked at that chart. So you're looking for sells, right? I think sells going to be valid if we, for me, if we break below 133,700. There's a high probability you will lose that buying trade. Oh, yes.
Okay. There's a high probability of piano's gonna fall on you today. Walking around and a fucking piano falls on you.
Alright, we're gonna mute Mac over there.
Bro, you saw that IG story on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Shia and
I saw
Brad Pitt.
that guy, and right away Mac came to my mind and said, "Oh man, this must be Mac."
All right, we're getting this situation over here. It's like a nice 18 to 20 pip range over here. If this 15-minute candle closes, oh man, if this crosses above 133, 930, the next 15-minute candle is going to continue going up, and then we can see that move up on the 30-minute, this one here, to continue moving bullish. This is awesome.
Okay, here we come. That's gonna be your safe bet once this candle start forming bullish.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this to close, actually.
Yes.
I don't trust it.
Come on, Ted.
That's gonna be your bet, but not that is the best way to trade GJ right now.
I don't trust it.
Ted, say that in a paper bag, man, not over here. Get a paper bag and say to that.
Ted, it's really hard to convince these guys, you know.
It's
Like-
spooky.
And we can't prove it.
It's spooky.
Like I understand what Ted is saying because we're going against the trend, but you know, overall, we might just get that small retracement up for buys and then continue to go down.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. He's only looking for 13 pips. He's not looking to a complete retrace.
Like I'm not planning to size in on this position right here because this is to me the high risk trade.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you go for that wick fill, I mean, I can see it coming through. I just look at the structure right now we have on the hourly, and it looks like last week on the daily. Remember last week's daily structure? It just kept rejecting that one level and going up, and then it pounced back again. If you and then now I look at the hourly structure, and it's doing the exact same thing that the daily did.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm telling you, this is like a breather.
Right here.
So this happened last week on the daily. It's happening right now on the hourly.
Yeah,
I think Ted's trying to sabotage the stream.
So for this trade, let's do a swap of hat.
Okay.
Oh,
man.
Cowboy.
Oh, come on.
I'm ready. Come on, guys.
Get the cowboy. Yeah. I mean, like from a wick fill standpoint, it does make sense. I just, like I said, these wicks over here, man, that's scary to me. I like it because if we have momentum, you'll break through that, and you can probably get up to here, even like higher up. It's just if look at it this way, if you're gonna take this move as a cowboy, it's gonna work out probably in your favor. But if you want a little bit less of a stress trade, take it over here because you know that this whole candle has to be corrected eventually anyways, right? So if it is gonna pull back, you'll get that big, huge correction. So either way, you have opportunities. You can do the cowboy trade, or you can wait for it to give you a little bit more information and then take the trade. So either one is right. I don't think you have to worry at that point. Like I said, I just don't like counter trending against the bigger move. That's all.
Sasha, look at me. Look at the camera. I'm gonna draw a cowboy hat. Give me 1 second. It's like this, and like this, and then you got like a little thing. Close
Man,
enough.
Mac, stick to trading, brother. Practice trading, not drawing.
All right, so this is a pretty good close over here. Very nice close here, closing above that area. Next 15 minutes, if it breaks the high here, I think it's a very good opportunity for price to continue up towards 134, 100. We might have a wick on the next 1 hour. Are we expecting it to happen? Well, anything can happen in the next 1 hour. But what I'm watching this is that now this 15-minute candle closed bearish, closed above this area, but there's no confirmations for me at least. And if I want this 30-minute candle to flip bullish and to continue going up, first to fill this wick and then continue on towards to at least 134, that's a 0.80. I would want this 15-minute candle to go up, right? Because this is the last 15-minute candle of this 30-minute candle. So I think if we can break this high over here, I think that's where I'm going to be executing a buy and anticipating price to continue up. And the stop is going to be below this current candle here. So just waiting. Yeah, or that can happen. Hey, if the 15-minute breaks the low of the previous 15-minute, is the buy still valid? No. Then the buy is going to be invalid.
Oh man.
This is gonna be interesting to watch this 15-minute candle
Yeah.
prior New Year open.
Yeah, I think this is gonna set the stage whether we will range again down here or will we continue moving up.
Well, 5 minutes looks like it's forming support, so let's see.
You know what I wonder? I wonder how many people switched pairs to full-time GJ now, since all we talk about is GJ here.
I mean, once you know how GJ behaves, it tends to be really easy to trade. I mean, for me right now, it's really easy to trade. But you need to stick to one pair.
Yeah. Yes, only because you've seen it like so many times every day. And that to me is the most exciting. Oh wow, man, gold is just ranging hard over here. Still stuck.
Put in buy stops just in case that volatility comes in and pushes right through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that most of your entries are impulse trades by buying the break of a candle? No. No. Sometimes now, yeah, sometimes. But not a lot. If this 30-minute candle closes bearish, then there's no buys, obviously, because candles are not closing in our direction. If this 30-minute candle closes below, let's say 133.850, back in this range, then for me, there's no trade. Then I'm going to be waiting for either the support to break or this resistance to break, whichever comes first during the time I'm trading. When you get a chance, please talk about pending orders. How do you place it? I think if you write how to place pending orders on YouTube, you'll get a much better answer in much more detail than what we can do over here. Looks like your JPY is also coming up to... See, your JPY looks better to do some sort of like a minor, form some sort of like a minor resistance at this point and then continue down. GJ is just doing its dirty little dance over here with this 15-minute candle.
Dirty little dance.
I think if you break the high, stop is going to be down here and we can anticipate price to come up here. Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty good trade. Look out for Boris making a statement within 48 hours on more UK restrictions. Yeah, I think those restrictions are going to come in pretty strong. Can you take a look at this trade? Left sell stop overnight with overall high time frame analysis, got stopped out as bullish candle broke the high of the previous. How could I have entered this sell stop idea with a better stop loss? You couldn't have. Maybe had a stop loss up over there, but then the stop loss would have been pretty big. So you couldn't have entered with a better stop loss with a nice, I mean, it is what it is, price came down, activated your stop loss, and then you got stopped out right over here. So I think a better position now would have been that, okay, maybe look to see how you could have had a second entry. How could you have entered the second time? But if you were sleeping at that time, then obviously then there's nothing you can do about it. Do you think these lockdown restrictions will have a heavy negative effect on the pound euro? Yep. Absolutely, man. If you look at March and April, I had my biggest months ever. March and April, man, it was just crazy months because there was a lot of volume. There was a lot of volume in the market. We saw GJ 30-minute candles with like 40 pips, 30 pips, 15-minute candles for 30 pips, 20 pips. So there was a lot of money being thrown around at that time. And then, then volume died down a little bit and then candles became smaller. So I think if this second wave does happen, we're going to see the same situations happening. I think it's going to be awesome.
I think all the planets were aligned at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, all the planets were like side by side, and then now they're in retrograde like this. So once they come right over here, that's the phase 2. And then they can go boom, 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 boom,
This story just never gets old.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the way he
It's always
presents
good.
his story.
It's always good.
Yeah, because
I was looking at the moon.
Looking at the moon, it's in retrograde with.
Oh man.
Oh my.
What did you do before you became a trader? I used to sell a thing which would filter people's water. That's what I used to do.
A water filter.
A water filter, exactly.
I used to do astronomy.
I was going to say something, but then I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, no.
Maybe in the WhatsApp chat I'd say it, but not over here. Okay, we're coming up here. Yeah, I'm going to enter at around 133, 936, 935 if we start breaking the high over here. Other than that, everything is just at a standstill right now. I think if this was like Wednesday or Thursday, we would have had that move up by now. But it's a Monday. And
Yeah.
Monday, you got to be careful.
This white quartz with gray veins.
Okay.
Then the white veins with the black.
Wow, man, this noise cancellation thing really works. First time I'm using it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, because...
God.
Mac, you got me, man. Can you hear me?
Got him.
You gotta find one with the Mac option,
He's never gonna find it. I bought them all.
Maggie,
Wow.
you should have your own streaming on YouTube, Talking Mac.
Talking Mac. Yeah.
Oh man.
Man,
Oh, I need coffee.
this guy is so funny.
If price breaks 133.930, shouldn't you expect a retracement to 134.200? Yes. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes into me in increasing quantities to multiple sources on a continuous basis.
Wow.
That's pretty nice.
That sounds illegal, but
Yeah, it's illegal, but it's pretty good. Could we have a buy stop once 30-minute flips bullish for NY Open push? Yes. Yes. I'm going to be looking to take a market order at 133, 935, 936 as price comes up. But for that to happen, this candle has to break. It has to continue moving. So I'm expecting this 30-minute candle to continue up with volume. But since the NY Open is about to start, I think it's going to be very difficult. What's up with that Jaden Liam guy always having a straight face? Oh, he's a poker face. He wasn't here.
It's playing poker.
I don't mean to ask a dumb question, but if we expect bad news for the US dollar, wouldn't we expect the inverse for gold, or at least a retracement to 1951? Yes. So if there's bad news on the dollar, obviously that's going to move gold up, right? But right now, gold doesn't know what to do, so we're just kind of like waiting at this time. Yeah. See now, this is the range where it's very difficult here. This is what I'm going to avoid. I'm not going to trade this. I'm going to trade if price comes below here, or if we get confirmations of buys above this area here. That red, I'm staying away from that red, especially on a Monday, you know? Like imagine you take a loss while you trade a range on a Monday. How dumb would you feel? Man, I'd feel pretty dumb.
I'll feel like Mac. I feel bad.
Feel like Mac.
Nah, I think we're gonna get the push up. Push up.
Mac, I'm gonna put $50 on you that you're in buys right now.
I am in buys. Oh my god, I choked on my coffee.
I know you, man. You're my student, bro. I know you.
And I have a buy stuff.
I don't know if you want to claim that one, Rakeel.
I don't know. Yeah, just waiting here. Your JPY is just doing its little dance over here now too. We're closing in a minute and a half.
I think the way Gigi is looking right now, I think Mac is gonna lose his virginity.
My virginity.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Let's see. Mac.
Long gone, buddy.
Get ready for the next hour opening, bro.
2 minutes. 0-0.
I feel it coming.
Guys with that booty.
Mac has been with us for a long time. He came from Twitch when we used to stream on Twitch.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What was the other one? Mixer. No, Mixer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you came from Mixer.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
Mixer.
Mac and Paul came from Mixer.
No, Paul came from Twitch.
Now it makes sense.
Hey, listen to me. Listen to me, Kimmel. Fly down to
That was harsh.
Oh, there you go. We're moving.
We'll put on gloves and we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute Mac, and the next time is getting kicked from here.
Don't scare GG.
Mac can't control himself, man. Keep scaring GJ. All right.
I got triggered.
All right. Yep. Got in.
Yep. Me too.
Got trigger right here.
Cowboys, really?
Yeah, look at this.
Ooh.
Guys are cowboys.
Right over here.
Watching.
Yeah. Run.
Let's look at this 30-minute. 30-minute candle close with no wick at the top.
And the 1 hour also.
Even the dog is cowboy.
Oh, cute. Ted, watch.
Let's do it.
Watch for this pullback on the hour. At least it's gonna get 133.750.
Trust it.
Yeah, I closed 50% because it got activated with candle making no wick on the top. So I closed 50% at this time. Because, you know, when the candle closes with no wick on the top, this means there's no range for the next candle to go up. We look on the 1 hour. 1 hour closed with a wick, which is pretty good. It's good. 30-minute candle closed with no wick on the top, but a big rejection down here. But it's also closed above this minor resistance, you know. So I executed a trade, and I noticed candle closed with no wick. I closed 50%, and as it's coming down, so now I'm going to lose less than what I anticipated to lose, and I think that was not a good trade here for today.
Oh, well. It's Ted's fault.
It's my fault. I take the blame.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
We had fun.
Didn't really lose much. Lost like what, $400. That's okay.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, I learned the last years that it's really hard to fight against 1 4-hour candle. So that's the problem.
So big, super big.
I will take the blame.
Take the
Ooh.
this thing pops up.
See, I still think this 1 hour is going to continue moving bullish. This is because it broke above here. It should just trust the 30-minute making these higher lows to continue up.
Right. That's 15-minute. I mean,
I think if you're looking at gold, the hour candle has made a wick to the top side, and it can start dropping now.
And it will be a hard drop.
So if you're looking at gold, I think you could probably fill down to 1928. So if you're in that trade, it should be a relatively easy trade, and then eventually down to potentially 1926. So
Man, since March, I've stayed away from gold.
yeah.
I've just been not interested at all. I mean, look what it's doing.
So if you are looking at gold, I mean, that's the idea that you'd be looking at, because what's happened now is this area here has tapped one last time, and you might find the next hour candle at 9 a.m. continues to drive down as well, because we've grabbed liquidity in this area here to then push further down. So just something to keep in mind if you are trading gold.
Let's take a look at the Chinese indicator over here. Oh, it's saying pound is weak, yen is strong, and everything else is just weak. Huh. Well, there was one trade for today. Hey, first chart after taking a month break. Almost blew my count, but that won't happen again. All right. Let's take a look here. Wait for retest at 1.29 fib level and possible resistance. Yes, that makes sense. Also, we're approaching this rejection area here to the left-hand side too, so it makes sense in GU. Yeah, at this stage, I'm staying far away from these smaller time frame confirmations and only looking at the 30-minute over here. Because if we do break up again, we should be moving bullish, 134, 100. Because this move down, it wasn't like it was like interest rates, right? Remember interest rates? We had interest rates, price came down, nothing changed fundamentally, we corrected the whole move. So I think the same thing might be happening here. Maybe not correct the whole move, but like a part of it. As long as we stay above, like, let's say 133, 860, 870. It's got to stay above this area here. 30-minute candles are making higher lows over here too. With more UK restrictions, upside is limited. Yes, it's limited. But we're catching these, small inter-day moves here. All right, I'll be right back.
We're going up.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at gold, once it breaks 1930, we have a free fall down to 1926. So just keep that in mind if you trade gold, if that's part of your plan. Once we break 1930, you might have a nice drop.
To 1923, do you say?
DJ move, yes.
1926 or so.
We're going up, man. DJ is going up.
DJ's going up, Kev.
Rejection to price action, we're definitely going up.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. It's going up.
I'm 4 pip up now.
I'm up 6 pips.
Go.
Rakeel's eating mangoes. Ha! We beat Ted.
That's good.
Oh, no, we're in it. We're in gold cells.
No, he was talking about GJ rejecting and going back down to like 133. Man.
But you're looking on the smaller time frame. Like we're looking on GJ cells on like a 1 hour, 4 hour. You're looking at like a 15-minute buy.
You're like 10 hours in the future right now.
Yeah, so you should be about 16 pips in profit right now with gold if you were trading.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, sir.
This 5-minute candle. It's looking ugly.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
All right.
Gold should be you're 20 pips deep with gold right now. And
Yes,
it's dropping.
sir.
I secured 20.
Once we hit 1928, I'd watch that level because we could reject, but you should secure pips right now with gold.
Yeah,
I secured
I
20.
did.
Yeah, I just closed my position with gold right now. So
Hey,
it's-
thanks, Ted, for that 8 a.m. breakdown, brother.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Volume was good.
Yeah, so you should have a nice trade with gold right now. The 5-minute the 2 5-minute candles in gold pulled back. You'll see that this one may have one more final push, but as long as we stay under 1930, it should continue to drop again. But the 1 hour candle on gold was a little bit stronger because of that upper rejection. So if you're looking, if you want to understand how this trade was taken with gold on the hourly, look at the hour candle. The wick formed to the upside, and then it drove through, and it drove right into that zone again at 1930, 1929. So that's where you could take that opportunity off the 5 and 15-minute candles. And once we break below 1930, 100%, then we'll probably end up going to potentially 1925, 1926 area. So just allow it to push, but we have on the hourly, we have that deeper pullback, and you might find now at 9 a.m. we get a little bit stronger pullback to the downside because we're getting rejections on the upside around 1933, 1934, which would give us liquidity then to drop a little bit further down. So keep that in mind as you're trading gold. It's going to be very rocky because the hour we're in a range. So if you're looking at gold, I would be looking to take sells below 1928 and buys above 1940 or 1935. So anywhere in this range, if we do pop back up to 1933, 1932, if you have rejection to the downside, you may find that you may want to take another sell. So, oh, Raja's got it open. So this is what we're looking at right now. This is the box that you're in. So with gold, we just saw that rip down right into this bottom area here. That's why I exited, because this was matching up with the bottom area of this, and you can see that we didn't have that much momentum. But what you'll find is maybe potentially on the next 15-minute candle, we then go and fill a little bit more. But if you are not very good at trading gold, or you're very cautious, your sells are below this area here. Don't get caught in this area here. The only reason why we took that initial push was because of the rejection on the upside, which matched this zone over here. So we were in that zone. This candle could come back in, tap that zone again, and then drive down, or we could then potentially hit this area here, and then this area here becomes a zone where we need to break through that. And if you have that, the best thing too is you can then look for a candle that comes up into this area here and then starts to drive down. So that's your safe play for gold, because what you're looking at is you're saying, okay, this was a zone that we were in originally and we're leaving that, and this is another area that we're going to start leaving shortly. So I can now look at this area here and say, as long as I have a candle that breaks up and then starts to break down, then we have opportunity to continue to push at that point. So keep that in mind with gold. You're able to then push, and you're going into 1926, 1925 at that point. So really keep that in mind, but map out your zones, and then all you're doing is you're waiting for candles to reject that area to drive further down at that point. And that's usually the easiest way to trade, simply with this matching up over here, saying, okay, we're going to continue going further down. And now you can see on your smaller time frames, we're rejecting this area. So I want another candle that'll reject over here to then drop. And that will break this support. And then you know now you're in another level. And if you look on the higher time frames, this is what's happening. You have these steps going on the way down. And right now we're in this stage right over here. And we'll potentially drop past this support, and that's your next step at that point. So that's, if you look at it from a market perspective in that way, you'll have an easy opportunity at that to look at gold.
Come on, GJ.
GJ, yeah, GJ is showing those signs again with this 15-minute candle closing. We're creating this support over here to support the price. Bullish. Now we have this 30-minute candle left. We have one more obstacle in the way, the 30-minute candle. Hey, can you review my trade? Tried looking at some points. Oh, what happened? Let's see if it comes to 980. On 30-minute candle closing bullish, moved my stop loss to break even. Took support at 6.8 fib. 30-minute candle closes above. We'll move the stop loss. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good plan. I think it's a really, really good plan. If this 30-minute candle is closing bullish, or it's closing wherever it's closing, I think you can bring your stops below this previous 30-minute candle to kind of like trail the stops. Why do we lose more than we win? I think we need to counter trade our analysis. I think that's true. Let's see.
That's a nice jacket, Raja.
Yeah. Some people here message, why is he wearing the jacket inside? Because man's not hot.
Wow, look at gold. What's going on here? Spread is opening so good.
Yeah, it should. This 5 minutes should I've seen this on gold, and it just seems like this should just go down. Are you looking for any opportunity with confirmations? No, I'm not looking for any more trades here. It's 8:15 a.m. and this 30-minute candle is going to close. We don't know what's going to close, where it's going to go. We can anticipate it going up, but there's no confirmation for me to safely take a risk on the first day of the week over here. Especially looking at 30-minute, we really want this to close bullish before doing anything, but you know, all in all, it's just like it is what it is. Oh, such is clapping. Yeah, this should continue up now.
I'm still holding.
I'm holding my hat and my trade. Here we go. Here we go.
This is looking good for you guys. Once it breaks above, oh, I think once we go above 134, it's gone.
Yeah, that was my only thing that I'm scared.
Yeah, it should continue past 134.
Gonzo.
If it does continue going on, man, this would have been the longest trade people have been stuck in, and then it played out. Literally.
Yeah.
It's like you took a buy, you're like, oh, okay, well, you know. After every candle close, you're like, all right, next one's gonna go up. Next, like it's not even stopping you out at this point.
Oh, you're just stuck in that range.
Yeah, you're just stuck.
You just need to close over 950. You need a 5-minute candle to close over the 950.
Yeah.
We definitely cannot call this stream today stress-free because it's stressful right now.
I just, it's the hope starts coming in and the prayers. Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there. I mean, if you want to take the contrarian view, you may want to look for sells below 136 or sorry 133.860. If you're going to look for sells for GJ, I mean, I won't point out the obvious, but that's sort of what I'm looking for. If GJ breaks below 133.800, I'll take sells all the way down to 133.600.
I'm actually waiting for resistance to form at 134, which is where we're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the same thing I think I see, Eleanor, is that it'll push up, create that wick, and then it'll continue to drive further down.
Yeah. Because on this candle here, like this previous bullish candle, right, it rejected that zone that Raja has at 133.860, but it did not have, the buyers didn't have strength to push it up further. So that was really what concerned me.
Mm-hmm. I saw sort of the same thing. I like the idea of the rejection if we do get a push, but I don't know how much volume in a bull situation we'll get with GJ. Just looking at the higher time frames, I think if we were to retrace and actually get this move like Raja's talking about, I think it will come in the next hour or two. I don't think we would get it right now. I don't think there's enough push, but you probably won't either. You won't get stopped out either. If we are going bullish, it'll just range a bit and then it'll break out probably next hour to 134. I just don't think that you'll get stopped out at this point. And if you do get stopped out, that means that the sell bias is way strong, and it's obviously going to drop to 133, 133, 100, 133, 400. So you'll have opportunity at that point too.
Yeah, that makes sense too, because I mean, if it had to push up, I was expecting a push at New York Open.
Right.
You know, but if it's not coming, and if we do get a resistance formed, then you guys are right. It has an opportunity to continue dropping further down.
Mm-hmm. But I think you might get a little bit more upside first, and that will save you on the bull trade, and you'll be able to move your stops to break even. And then probably 9:30 or so, you might get that drop that we're looking for, the continuation. It's just because 133,700 is a very heavy support. So I can see that's the reason why it rejected. To me, like we have GJ's just runs a train and it runs trend. So these little pullbacks, I don't like pullbacks on GJ. I just rather just be like, hey, we're gonna keep moving.
I gave up already. I'm done. I closed.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what we talked about earlier this morning. This is your issue. This huge range right here, this is your issue, right? So it has the upside potential, but I just think that this is creating a brand new zone. Like we're just in this massive zone where, you know, it can reject anywhere in this area here and then eventually start to dip. It's just the anticipation of how fast it'll dip, and then saying, okay, well, I could take trades below here because technically this now is a zone, right? So you're in that range game where, you know, when we come over to here, we could reject again and then go back up and then go back down again. So you're stuck in two wide ranges. That's sort of how I see this playing out. It's just like I said, I'm looking at the daily from last week, the daily candles from last week, and I'm seeing the same thing on the hourly candles today. Like it's the same sort of structure where we pop up, and if you get a good entry, you can get out, but then it pulls back, it pops up, pulls back, and then finally it just breaks and it drops to the downside again.
Gold is about to do his thing. I got some sales on
Okay,
gold.
I'm out.
Bye. I'm out as well, guys.
Yeah, see, the 30-minute now broke the low here as well. So this is a very volatile New York Open here at this point.
Oh, and gold is going bye-bye.
Yes. Thank you, Ted. Actually, I'm looking at gold. It will be beautiful, like you said, if we can mirror the 1 hour candle to the left. We have a beautiful candle going toward 1924. So that's why I took some sales on gold.
Yeah, so if you look at gold where we said it would break below 1928, you see how fast it broke, and now it's breaking into a new level. So this was our support, right? And this, you know, we can say that this was a bit of resistance or however you want to structure it. But now what we have is we have this drop, consolidation across, and then drop again. So now that's the reason why we have this. So you can see effectively that once we broke that level, the zone that we created on the upside here, so this zone right here was destroyed, and this was the new zone that we kept tapping into. So you can see over here, this zone and this zone matched up, right? So what we were doing was we were bouncing off this level here to go up here, bouncing back here, and then we came into here. But the key at this point were these wicks. They weren't coming back up into this area here anymore. So now what's happened is we've broken below, and we've broken below this zone, and this is your new zone now at this point. So if you had taken the gold trade off the hour candle, you can see now this was your previous zone, and the breakout happened to this area here, and now we have that free fall effect at that point.
Beautiful.
So you know, like I said, you could wait, and you could say, hey, I don't want to take a trade until we break out of this area over here, because we had this dip, and now we have this dip again. So you can see where this this area here could have all been consolidation. This was your drop. We moved sideways, and then we dropped again. And then all you had to do was take a position below that. So if you were in gold, you were good. And I mean, now we're continuing down to 1917 more than likely, because when you look on the higher time frames, you can start to see that we're entering a zone on the higher time frames, and we could probably either finish off at 1920 all the way down to 1916. So the idea also was, once again, when you look on the hourly with gold, you had that rejection to the upside on the hourly. So that was your key as well. You could say, hey, we're leaving this area over here. Once we break below this area here, we have a clean move all the way down. And this part here, this is what I'm always looking for, this rejection, because that means liquidity was grabbed up here to drive further down, instead of having a candle that's moving and then a wick form over here and then potentially reject up. We had the wick form at the top to drive further down at that point, clearing this zone. And that was related obviously to the North American currency market open as well. So it's something that you can continuously look for, and when you have momentum like that, when you get a candle that has that rejection at the top, chances are we're going to drive through. And if you were scared, you could have just waited till this area here and taken that trade, and you would have had no risk at that point. And you would have been able to drive right into this zone that Raja marked out, which was perfect.
Yeah.
Stay here.
At this point, I secure 75%, and you know, because 8:30 should give us a little bit pullback to prior sell-off.
Everything's dropping.
Yeah, GJ's doing what we said it was going to do too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, GJ was the easiest. Gold, the problem is the pullbacks on gold are heavy, so you gotta manage that. But GJ, man, we talk about respecting 134 flat. That's the area you need to consider.
So now with GJ, if you said like what I said earlier, if once it broke 850 or so, it would continue down. So now you're getting that move. Same thing that's happening with GJ right now. This same idea here, you can play it off over here as well. You can say, I don't want to be part of this area here because we could reject and go back up. So I want to see how a candle forms over in this area here. So I would look for another rejection and then a continuation of that move down at that point. And the rationale behind looking for a move over here is I would then look to my higher time frames and make sure that we weren't close by a support or we weren't close by any wicks. And if we aren't, then more than likely we have that continued drop all the way down. And then you could say to yourself, okay, on the daily, there's a potential for us to go to maybe 133, I would say, or maybe 132 at this point. You know, you go 132,900, 133, but the daily level, we're at a very heavy daily level, to be honest. 133,700 is a very, very heavy support if you look on the daily. So just be aware of that as you come through. We might get this continued push down, but it's going to be very hard to break. So just be careful on that point.
Wow, so no buy. This, I think this candle closing with no wick at the top, this just basically destroyed most of the buying analysis. And once we started getting bearish closes on the 15-minute, that was just like, okay, yeah, there's no more buys. I mean, confirmations were just out the window.
Yes. Another one bite the dust.
Oof, gold is still dropping.
Yeah. I was expecting a pullback, but
damn,
man.
Might get it.
Entry after the next candle open to continue down to support, take profit down here. Okay. That could work out for like a, probably like a retest to continue down.
people are asking about US 30 sells. US 30 sells, I really think that you have opportunity at 9:30 Eastern. So in the next hour, if you're looking at US 30, wait for the equity market to open and react to the futures market, which is US 30, and allow them to play off of each other, and then find a clean move probably a half hour after that. I find a lot of times with US 30, the 10 a.m. Eastern hour, you get a lot better move, and it's a little bit safer. Obviously, you don't get as much of the move, you know, if you catch the 9:30 move right away. But then again, there's lots of times where US 30 whipsaws at 9:30 and it'll crush your account. So I rather let the dust settle and find the best or the safest opportunity at that point. I don't care about trying to grab the best position. I care about making sure my entry is the safest. So that I'm not getting whipped around, because US 30, if it pulls back 10 or 15 or 20 points, can blow your account instantly. So don't get too cocky with US 30.
Yeah,
and you can see with gold, we actually tapped that we're tapping into that zone on the 4 hour, the 1920 level, 1923, 1922. So I think if you do get to 1920 around there, that's a good take profit target. You might find that towards the end of the hour, you get a little bit further push down. And then what you could do is the next hour candle, when it pulls back up a bit, maybe back up to 1926, 1927, you could potentially take another sell, because what's happening right now with this current candle on the hourly, you're going to create a zone over here. Okay, so this is probably the deepest it could potentially go, or maybe over to here. And then what you'll find is in the last 15 minutes or so, this area here then creates a zone, and the next hourly candle will pop right back up and then drive further down if we are going to continue to drop. So if you're trading this hourly candle, I'd be very cautious around this area, and I'd be look to either secure profits or take profits at this point, because of the fact that the next hour candle could pull all the way back up as we anticipate the New York Stock Exchange open, which is going to affect the price of gold, because obviously people are moving from the equity market into the metals market as well.
Now, Ted, quick question on gold. You see gold this week going toward 1900s?
Yes. On the weekly candle, you have 1905 as a huge support coming with gold, and that could be the drop that you're looking for. Also, looking at the monthly candle now, we have clear bearish direction. So, you could probably drop potentially into the 1800s next month as well.
Yeah, because the thing is, the Fed is gonna talk today, so that should drive gold a little bit even more down than where we are right now. Because the sensible area for me right now is 1920. But once we clear 1920, there's a huge chance to continue going to 1900, 1905.
Yes. My levels for gold right now, if people want to take note, are 1917 and 1907. Those are my levels that I pay attention to.
1907?
Yeah, 1917 and 1907. Those are my levels. 1917 will probably clear today based on the momentum we have right now. And then there potentially could be a rejection anywhere between 1917 and 1912. You might find that there's going to be rejection in there.
Okay.
But I mean, if you're in gold sells now, you should be in profits, and you're in a pretty nice trade.
I didn't get a chance to get back in, Ted.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, at the support we closed, and
yeah, I mean, I closed too. I ended up closing at I think 16 pips. So I mean, I was in at 1931. I closed at 1929. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not too concerned. I guess we didn't beat Ted on GJ today. No.
No.
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to beat me.
Can you ask Ted executes in M5? MT5. Ted, do you execute in MT5?
MT5, yeah.
Yeah.
I use MT5. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, M5 candles. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Situational,
M5,
right?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at candle structure and ideas, it's, a lot of times, as an example, like, you have US 30 here as an example, right? So you look at this candle here and you say, well, where would I have gotten an entry? Sometimes you have to move into the other time frames and look to find an entry there and then map out your range. I think this is the biggest issue a lot of people have is the most straightforward thing you can do is map out a range. Your range is from your support, your resistance to your support. So you figure out where price is going to move. Like if price rejects this area here, it's got to move down to here. But in this area, in this range, you have to say to yourself, how am I going to find an entry? And that's where you take a look at your smaller time frames, maybe your hourly or your 15-minute time frames, and then you mark out if this is my 4-hour range, right? So this is 4-hour time frame. So this is a 4-hour resistance, and this is a 4-hour support. In that area, you're going to find that as you go through time frames, as candles go down, so this is a 4-hour candle, this is another 4-hour candle. You say, well, how could I find entries in there? You have to start dissecting each one of those candles, and you'll see that maybe on the 15-minute time frame now, you have candles that are, consolidating. So then what you do is this is your 4-hour frame, this is your 4-hour frame, and now you map out a 15-minute frame, and you say this is my 15-minute resistance and this is my 15-minute support. So now what I'm looking at is I'm saying, okay, if we don't break up over here, that we have higher time frame confluence that we're going down, I can start taking entries down here to drop to my 4-hour support and be aware that this is a higher time frame support and we may reject up at that point. And I'm using my smaller time frames as executable time frames, and it's the same thing. You can do that on the 5-minute time frame as well. It's just when you have your chart set up, you want to be able to know that what does this line mean? What does this line mean? Like, is this a 1-hour level? Is this a daily level? Like, what is that level? And when you start to understand that, then you can say to yourself, okay, I know that if we come over here and this is a daily level, this is our daily support, that daily support for the most part is hard to break. So I want to trade to that level and then I'll stop. If it does break and it continues down, great, like I'm happy. But in the long term, I've always seen it bounce away from that and then tomorrow's daily candle drive further down at that point. So when you map out your time frames and you map out your support and resistance, you're not using them as gospel, but you're saying to yourself, hey, if I come to a key level on a daily or a 4-hour time frame, I may have to make an adjustment or I may have to just watch what I'm doing at that point.
Oh, wow. 1920.
1920.
You're freaking lying. Let me see.
Play the horn. Play the horn.
Play the horn, Raja.
1920 with gold. We're going to 1917 now. Start the auction.
1920.
Start printing money.
1920. So if you had gold sells, even on off this 30-minute candle at 1923, you got 30 pips there too. So there you go. 1920, and you can start to see if you look on your hourly time frame on gold at 1920, you can start to see back on September 9th, we're coming into a zone. right? So September 9th, September 10th, all the way into September 4th on the hourly candle, you'll see that we rejected that area. So when people ask me like, well, how did you figure out 1920? Just look to the left and you can see we had a clean drop, and then now we're starting to reject that area. And more importantly, as you go into the hourly candles further down around September 8th, you can see those hourly candles around 1917, 1915, they all rejected and pulled back. So a lot of wicks were formed at that point. So you say to yourself, hey, I don't want to be part of that mess. I don't want to trade in that part because I don't know if we're going to continue to drop, but I know for the most part that I've seen clean movement down to 1920, so that is a reasonable target. Can I trade to 1917 or 1907? Of course you could, but you have to look to the left and realize that there's a lot of rejection areas, so it might give you trouble. So just keep that in mind as you're managing your trade.
I'm in this other chat with Jeevan, and this is hilarious.
Oh, he's nuts right now?
Yeah. Do you think a close below 133.730 is a good sell idea? Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty good. Because like, okay, so if we take a look at this like this, right? Let's take a look at it from this perspective here. So we had resistance formed over here. Price broke out. This candle did some sort of like a retest. This had to close above this area to continue on, but it closed back below this area here. So we got like around 15 minutes left for the 4-hour candle to close, and this candle is now open. This is probably going to close in 16 minutes too. So maybe this move up was a retest, and we should continue down to the support. And we come down here. I think you guys are right. Then we should continue moving bearish. This is where sometimes, guys would get stuck that, oh, okay, it's a Monday, we've fallen a lot. It comes down to support, they take a buy, and it just keeps falling, and they're like, WTF GJ, what's going on? The GJ is just following the trend.
I guess our horse won today. Right, Ted?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, gold seemed a little bit cleaner than GJ just because Raja's right. Like we hit a major level, so you're bouncing in that range. So if it does reject 133, 900, 800, it's gonna fly back up. It's just with gold, because it's obviously U.S. based, and we already had that momentum, and obviously the futures are taking. The future market taking into account there's a lot of push with US dollar now to hold stability. You could see gold dipping, and I mean, even if you look at your hourly chart, you can see the highs were made at 1970, and from there we started to drop all the way down. It's been a rocky road. Today was the breakout of gold, from 1934 all the way down to 1919. Obviously it's going to hit 1917 in the next 15 minutes or so, and you'll have a banner trade. It's just catching that opportunity, but watching the smaller time frames.
Wow, 1919. Let's take a look here on the daily now. Oh yeah, we are coming into that zone. This is what you talked about this morning, this whole area here.
Yeah, so if you watch back at like 7:30 today, what I talked about was this, right? So what we did was we took away essentially all this stuff here. That's not right. We take away all this information here, and you say to yourself, okay, how can we figure this out? What makes the most sense? And you can see now when you start to look, and we did similar things with GJ, when you start to look at the trades, this area here, you have this area here, and then this area here mirrors, so you can see where we could potentially go if you remove the middle where there was a lot of noise at that point. So I mean, once again, if you're taking trades with gold, I mean, once again, you just really have to be cognizant of that. And more importantly is, as this trade continues to move, this is where you start watching your higher time frames, right? So as this trade moves down into this area here, you can see this part over here is probably a very important area, because this is where we have the last of the bodies of those candles. So, you know, once we get to here, you might find it could dip a little bit quicker and then reject. So myself personally, I like this area here just to close or to secure profits, because we are coming into this major wick area where at any given time we can pull back, and then people say, well, what happened? We were driving down and now all of a sudden we pulled back like $4 or $5. I don't want to be part of that, to be honest.
All right, let's take a look at this over here. Would it be better to wait for the 1 hour candle to close before taking a GJ trade? I think that's going to be a pretty good idea, because if you're looking at the 1 hour candles now, we had a resistance form, this candle went out, this came back in, so we're basically just above support at this point. You know, so when I look at this situation and I look at the time and I look at that, I took one trade today. I executed on one trade. No, actually 2 trades. Took the gold sell too. So I took, basically on the stream, I took 1 trade today, and then I'm like, okay, you know what? We're approaching 9 a.m. It's a Monday. Price is still doing finicky stuff. At this point, I'm gonna be like, okay, you know what? This is it. I mean, that was my day for today, and we'll have to accept that. You know, sometimes we say, okay, like, you know what? Even though price will break down at NYC Open, if the volume comes in, then I think that's gonna be a pretty good move. But I'm not gonna be around to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly what you said, Raja. On GJ, if we go to GJ on the 30-minute or 15-minute, I mean, it doesn't matter the time frame you really use. Your key, once again, is this area here and this area here. Because of the rejections that we have on both sides, it's very difficult for you to get some sort of entry either here or over here. So really, if you know GJ, the average gain on GJ is like anywhere between 40, 60 or 80 pips, right? If we know that, if you study GJ and you've been here for the last month, you know that this here, it's okay for us to wait, because at the end of the day, if you take buys above 134 or sells below 133,500, you're going to get 30 pips easy. You're going to get 20 pips easy. Don't fight in that range. Just let it break. And when it breaks, take the opportunity at that point. Don't stress yourself out looking for an opportunity right now. But more importantly, don't worry that you're going to miss the opportunity if you are, you're able to say to yourself, hey, I put on my charts, I put on this big giant box. This is my big giant box of crap. Like, this is what we talk about. We talk about goat shit. So I know that this is all goat shit, right? I tried, we took our trade, we tried to go up, it failed to go up. So I know that. So now I sit back and I say, okay, where is going to be my best opportunity? Above the goat shit and below the goat shit. So now I just sit back and wait. And you get used to that, where we made an honest attempt to say, hey, if we break out a goat shit and we go up, it's going to be a nice trade. But once it failed, then that's okay. You sit back now and you say to yourself, okay, there isn't an opportunity. Don't turn around and start chasing. Now you have a clear plan because you tried your original idea and it didn't work. Now you sit back and you wait and you say, okay, if we do break above, I know I can take trades because that's originally what I was looking for over here. But if I do break below, then I know I can take trades over here and I'll more than likely be successful at that point. So don't crush your account trying to be stubborn. Learn from the mistake once. It's like you touch the stove. When the stove is hot, you don't need to go touch the stove again to confirm that the stove was hot. You can feel it in your fingertips. That wasn't coincidence that the stove was hot. It wasn't a dream that you were dreaming that the stove was hot. The stove was hot. So now wait for the stove to cool down. It's the same thing with trading. You tried, it didn't work out to your advantage. Don't try and hit it again. Wait and have a better opportunity now, because that original idea has already failed. You can't keep hitting your head against a brick wall, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're doing the exact same idea over and over again, hoping this is going to be the time it's going to break out, or this is the time it's going to move the way I want it to move. No, now you can wait, because you didn't get what you wanted originally. Now you sit back and wait for the market to set up even cleaner for you at that point.
At this point, GG will continue dropping.
What happened? Everyone went quiet?
Yeah, yes.
We're waiting for you, Mac.
Oh, we're waiting for me. Okay, I'm in JJ's house.
Oh my god. This guy is gonna kill me.
I think we can do a good trade with follow the trend. So we wait for open position if the candle broke the trend zone. Yes.
Why is the 30-minute going up so much?
Because it's at the support over here. See the support?
We just talked about that.
That's where Mac puts his health.
I was watching TV.
Man, that's like being in class and playing on your phone, and then all of a sudden, what were you talking about? Like,
Guys, don't take buys or sells in this range. I'm in sells.
Max sells.
Exactly.
yeah, that's exactly what happened. Oh, I'm in sell.
I'm telling you, this guy's gonna kill me.
Hey Kerwin, instead of buying a T-shirt to Mac, you should have bought him a cowboy hat.
I think so.
I got one. I think
true.
I got one. Oh no, it's a hoodie.
Oh my god. This
Yeah,
guy
so
is too
people
much.
talking about gold on its way up. Once again, this is the classic, I'm a new trader and I see one candle and that means change in direction. This is 5 minutes before the end of the hour candle. So you may find that this is going to be a pullback now, once again, as we tell our story throughout the morning, to go towards the New York session. So the New York Stock Exchange open at 9:30. So there is a high probability that we are going to get a pullback, because now think about it, institutions are starting to enter the game at 9:30 and they're going to drive gold prices as well. So your initial push is what we talked about. We got to 1920 and we took profit or secured profits at that point, because now we know that the market's going to pull back. And what are we setting up for? We're setting up for the next major market move, which is the New York Stock Exchange open. So if you think logically through the market and you tell a story in the market. So we start off with the Asian session, which begins the printing of our daily candle. We get a bit of a pullback. The London session people come in, they continue that move, and then the New York session people come in and they continue the move again. So what you may find is in the middle of those sessions is that we get a little bit of a pullback in anticipation to go further with the continued trend. So don't get caught up in these minor pullbacks in certain pairs. Understand why they're pulling back, because they're essentially getting set up for future moves in the market. So in this case, we know the North American currency session contains the London close, which is the close of the London market, but also the start of the New York Stock Exchange. So there's two catalysts within this market that we can have reversals, we could have pullbacks, we could have continued trend movements. So you have to be aware of those. And if you don't know those times, this is where you would Google, when does the London market close? When does the North American Stock Exchange open, or the New York Stock Exchange open? And you would write those down and you would go back to backtest and look at the pairs that you trade and see what happens around those times. And that's how you start to identify why we should get out of trades at certain times, why we can enter trades at certain times, and where would we want certain price targets to go based on London close, based on the New York Stock Exchange open, things of that nature. So really, those are pieces of information that if you're going to trade the North American market at this time, you should have that ingrained in your head. You should not be confused on why things are pulling back, or what happens at 9:30, what happens at 11 o'clock. Like, you should already have that. That's part of your playbook. Similar to when you play basketball, you get fouled, you're going to the free throw line to shoot 2 free throws. That's not surprising. Like, you shouldn't be surprised that they give you the ball and they tell you to shoot it. You should already know that. And additionally, you should have already been practicing that, because those are free points that you get with no distraction. Essentially, there's no one standing in front of you. You get a clear look at the basket. So give yourself that edge and really get that information and ingrain in your head, but more importantly, understand how to apply that information so that you can take effective trades or manage the risk associated with your trades that are currently open.
I think Yasser. Oh, I thought you fell asleep for a second. Man's in the mountains of Colombia.
Oh, I was muted. Okay, my bad. Yeah, I think your support should be down over here on GJ, like 133, 730, because price keeps coming here and rejecting it. So I mean, if you're having a support over here, this is like having an even tighter area. So I would say this is your resistance now. I mean, this is what I'm going to be looking at. Now this is a range. This is a proper range now. 22 pip range, the proper range. The 4-hour candle just closed. Looking on the 4-hour closed bullish.
Look at gold. Gold is gonna give some nice moves.
Oh wow, yeah, this should continue moving from the looks of it.
Hopefully we can create some sort of resistance around 1920, 25.
Yeah, so you can see the candle structure is different over here than it was over here. So that's why I get wary when we hit this area here, because I would want to see structure look this way. So you might find this may come up and then dip down a bit. And this initial push here was a continuation just to fill that, and now you're bouncing back up a bit. So keep that in mind.
All right, what's going on here? This is GJ. Do you think this is bad idea? I have taken this trade 3 times before and I was successful. Okay, coming down for a thing over there. Do you think this is I was expecting volume to push price down to support after 30-minute candle close? Yeah, I think your stop loss was way too tight. Your stop loss was based on a 15-minute, and as we have, talked about this over and over again, that 15-minute are weak confirmation time frames, 30-minute are much stronger confirmation time frames, so we should wait for the 30-minute. Please advise on door-to-door sales. I'm starting next week. Well, you just gotta go knock on all the doors. The more people you talk to, the more chances there are for you to get a sale. All right, let's take a look at this chart here. First time poster, long time listener. Sells below close of this level, buys above close of this level, target for buys, target for sells. Okay, so let's measure these ranges, right? So your target for buys is up over here, and if you measure this range, this is a 8 pip range. So that's going to be a very, very small range. If we measure the range over here, this looks much better because it's much bigger, right? So I would say like buys above 133.950 would be much better. If you get a close, break and close above, we can go down, but if you get a break and close below this area, then we can continue moving bearish.
Bro, you're giving advice on door-to-door sales, right?
Yeah.
I did. During Brexit, I was campaigning to stay in, right? Man, I got a. They're like, yeah, to people, get to people's doors, and you're just knocking, and people been busy doing their life, man, and they just harass you.
Yeah, like imagine you're busy with something really important, and someone comes to your door, and they're talking about, do you support to be in Brexit? And the guy's like, yo, what? This one time I knocked on the door and this dude answered the door, and I was like really enthusiastic. I'm like, hey, we're installing filters for the neighborhood here. And the guy looks at me, he's like, bro, I'm going through a divorce. I don't have time for this. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. Sorry.
But I kind of, from knocking on the doors, right, and I did it all over the country, I had an insight to how the average man or woman was feeling, and then you could get an insight into, like, fair enough, there's all these people giving analytics that this was going to happen, this is going to happen, it's going to be this, but knocking on the door, it was a different picture, and you could feel that more people were against than they were for. Do you know what I mean? And if I was trading at the time, I think I could have capitalized on it. You know what I mean?
Like they didn't want Brexit to happen.
No, more people wanted. And it was in the sense that there was just different reasons. Some people, it was, whatever, everybody had a different story, and every area had its own narrative. And definitely the Brexit Team Brexit, they localized their message to every area, which was really, really unique, and you could see how they'd done it. Do you see what I mean? So in certain areas, they, for example, in some areas they'd said, well, we should be trading with, outside the EU. Why do we have to be stuck with the EU? And it was, it was an interesting insight of how to run a campaign. And then, if I'd been trading at the time, I thought, well, this is, and then, but the thing is, it's just knocking on the door of the general public and the abuse sometimes. The people are busy, man. They got things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only way I look at it is that if Brexit does happen, if the UK moves away from the EU, I think a really big change is going to be in travel. I think that it's going to cost you more to travel to the European countries.
Yeah, I think. I mean, but to be honest with you, if you look at the amount of Brits that are in Europe, and just looking at it, I'll be honest, I don't think much is going to change, because they want us over there, we want them over here. It's going to be superficial, and the average person probably ain't going to notice much. There'll just be more bureaucracy. And I think, if you imagine, lots of my friends have, houses in Spain and all this. They can't just make things more harder for investors and stuff, between the countries. So I think it'll be just more bureaucratic and paperwork more,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, I think what my impression was that once Brexit's going to happen, there's going to be a big wall. A big wall's going to go down, and that's it, done. But you're right. Like, it's going to happen like slowly. And hey, what if we're moving through Brexit right now? Slowly. What if it's like a plan which will go over, like, let's say 5 years and 6 years, and maybe down the road they say, okay, like, you know what? Brexit, I mean, we've just completed the final setting of Brexit. And you're right, like, guys may not even notice it. One thing Boris says, you're right. One thing he says is that hey, if Brexit does happen, we're not going to pay the fine. You guys can pay it for us if you want, but we're not going to pay it. Boris is from the ends, innit, mate? He's from the ends.
Well, he's not from my ends, I'll tell you that. He's a bit too posh for me.
There's going to be a war in Northern Ireland if the UK goes through with Brexit. Well, I don't know if you want to fight against Conor McGregor. It's going to come down there with Khabib. Can I use Magic Key on my server without keyboard? Because sometimes I'm at work trading. No, you can't. Good day. Please, I'd like to know if TradingView has some advantage over MetaTrader. Yes, huge advantage, man. I mean, the kind of analysis you can do on TradingView, you can't do it on MetaTrader. You just can't. You just can't. Like, look, you can do this so nice, and you can do this so nice, and it's just very user-friendly. I mean, people who use MetaTrader, I had people in the boot camp for London and some in Miami too. Like, so we'd come from doing analysis on TradingView, and then once we moved to MetaTrader and you had to do like these analysis and draw zones, they're like, man, this is so hard. This is so difficult.
Ted must not be here, man, because that's where Ted would just interject.
Right. It's like I've been using MT3 since 1980.
I haven't had any problems at all.
I've never had a problem in my life. Oh, look, it's breaking.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Oh, Martin sells.
Gold is also dropping down furthermore. Damn.
Let's go.
Yeah. 4 hour. See, here's the thing. Once this 4 hour breaks the low on the 4 hour, then it's just gonzo. But essentially, you need now candles to close below 133,700 for them to continue going bearish.
What a Monday, man.
Been fun.
Yeah.
Well, at least I caught that drop from London. So, chilling. Trying to look for a movie on Netflix, like a good movie.
Mac, you're not muted.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, I thought he was talking to his buddy or something.
No, I was talking to you, but then again, I'm just gonna mute myself. Oh, God.
Watch Old School.
Old school.
Yeah.
I was
Have you
watching the Trailer Park Boys. I've been watching the whole series.
No.
Watch Old School. It's with Vince Vaughn, Luke Wilson, and Will Ferrell.
Oh, for real?
You've never seen that movie?
Old school. Let me see. Let me go.
With Frank the Tank. That's how I feel like when I'm at the club. No, guys, I can't drink anymore. Frank the Tank. Ted the Tank. Okay, let's go.
This is some different stuff. Oh, okay. This was seen a long time ago.
Yeah, it's good.
To get the blow up doll scene, and then we're like, yo, I was too young. Like, what? I'm like, what's that? You know?
No, it's funny because Vince Vaughn plays like the typical guy that's married and has a kid and wife, and then he still wants to go out and party, but then he still has to deal with his wife, and he's like, yes, ma'am, yes. So.
And then you got Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Look, well.
Are we doing any talk shows sooner? Like no streaming, just bare talk.
You know who's doing that right now? Torre and Bernie. They took our idea. I messaged Bernie too. I was like, you guys must have been in our chat because they're doing that. Like we talk about anything. They had a really good podcast. It was actually really good, really well done. But it was like just general conversation. So it was really cool.
Oh, a movie I was just thinking of, Wedding Crashers.
I watched that yesterday.
Oh man, that's Nolan Wilson with the messed up nose.
Yeah, I watched that yesterday. That was good. I like that movie.
And the freaking girl, what's her name? Rachel Adams, McAdams.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Brad Cooper was in it too. Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. He was the douchebag.
Yeah. The other one is Step Brothers. That's really good as well.
Yeah. The other one was, what was it? Meet the oh, I don't want to say it, but Meet the
Yeah, with De Niro.
With De Niro, right? Don't they? Oh my God. He's the freaking ass.
Isn't that funny?
Mac, is it 420 already or what?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm about to say. I like Mac's his own audience, his own cheerleader. Like this guy lives the best life.
Let me see what other movie.
Guys, I'm off. Thank you kindly. Thank you, Rakeel, Mac, Ed.
Bye.
Stay strong.
Yeah, I'm gonna head off too. Take care.
Gym
time.
Enjoy, fellas.
Probably watch a movie before.
Yeah.
Everyone go to Eleanor's stream now. Let her work.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take
Take
care.
care.
All right.
I don't know if this is a good trade, man.
Oh my God.
Man, I think you're just
Tell me
overtrading
you're gonna
now.
waste-
You're just overtrading, man. I mean, why? Why torture yourself? Just wait for this break, and then you have this
Yeah.
clean candle.
Yeah.
And it's rejecting again.
Yeah, man. You're trying to just light a fire in yourself. It's not gonna work. Just call it a day. If you have to do this, just call it a day. Go do something, help someone with something. Because I'm gonna go have some food, and then I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm not even gonna know what's happening in the charts after this.
Yeah, me too.
So
Bye.
So yeah, see. So if you want to be successful, you got to do what successful people do. See, Max said he's gonna call it a day. So now just call it a day. You know? Yep.
It's just probably gonna be bullshit, but No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna call it a day. Go to the gym and
All right,
Yeah.
take care.
and watch Wedding Crashers. Bye bye.
Do your thing, man.